In Laboratory Reddit, today's story is...
I denounced my ex for abuse, and a month later my cousin started dating him. Her pregnancy unleashed family chaos. I need to share a complicated situation that has been happening in my life lately. I feel confused, and I think I need some outside perspective on this matter. To begin with, I, 29F, had a difficult relationship with Nate, 30M. Our relationship seemed promising at the beginning, but it turned into something very harmful for me. At first, Nate seemed attentive and understanding, characteristics that attracted me to him. However, over time, he began to show worrying behavior. During our relationship, Nate constantly exerted control over me, always under the excuse that he did it for my well-being. He had a habit of discrediting my opinions and decisions, making me feel incapable. When I tried to spend time with my friends, he made me feel guilty, insinuating that I didn't value our relationship or that I was neglecting it. Little by little, I lost touch with my social circle, leaving Nate as my only connection with the world. Every decision in my life revolved around keeping him happy and avoiding his mood swings. It was mentally exhausting, and yet he made me feel like everything was my responsibility. The way he manipulated my emotions was particularly exhausting. When I tried to express my concerns, he would turn the situation around to make me seem problematic or overly sensitive. He made me doubt my perceptions, altering the facts to the point where I no longer trusted my own judgment. If I caught him in a lie or confronted him about something that had hurt me, he would deny everything or minimize my feelings. I lived in constant fear of provoking his anger or facing his indifference. All this left me emotionally exhausted and with a very damaged self-esteem. After much suffering, I found the courage to request a restraining order. I recognized that his behavior was dangerous and manipulative, and although it was a difficult decision, I knew it was necessary for my safety. Now, let's talk about Alexandra, 23F, my cousin, whom everyone calls Alex. We have always been very close, practically like sisters. We grew up together and shared many moments, but I never imagined that she would get involved with someone like Nate. I hoped she would have better judgment, but I was wrong. A month after I obtained the restraining order against Nate, Alex started a relationship with him. To my surprise, shortly afterwards she became pregnant. I felt completely betrayed and bewildered. I couldn't understand how she had chosen to be with him, especially knowing my history. I wanted to warn her about his true personality, but I knew it could be counterproductive. When someone is in love, they tend to ignore the warning signs, and Alex was completely captivated by him. Months later they got married. I was invited, but I decided not to attend. The idea of seeing them together was unbearable. My family did not understand my absence. They expected me to support Alex, but I just couldn't do it. I tried to explain my reasons, but they didn't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. Alex's situation worsened after the wedding. About 2 months after they were married, my relatives started to tell me that Nate treated her even worse than he had treated me. He belittled her and controlled every aspect of her life, which broke my heart. I felt guilty for not having intervened sooner, but I also knew it wasn't my place to meddle. I hoped Alex could see the truth for herself. As time went by, I received more and more messages from relatives concerned about Alex. They blamed me for not having warned her about Nate from the beginning. The pressure was immense and I felt like the villain of the story. How could they blame me? I had been the initial victim, and now, for not having acted as the protective cousin, they saw me as responsible. The situation worsened when Nate started telling Alex that he still had feelings for me. It was unbelievable that this man, from whom I had found it so difficult to move on, was now playing with my cousin's feelings and undermining her confidence. His manipulation was evident, as if he were executing a cruel plan, and Alex was caught in the middle. The day I found out about Nate's statements, I experienced a mixture of anger and sadness. The way he treated her made me angry. I wanted to warn her, but I felt I was in an impossible position. Would she even believe me? I began to think that maybe it was better that she discovered the truth for herself. It was a delicate situation, and although I didn't want to lose my relationship with her, I also needed to protect myself from the consequences of her relationship. The following weeks became increasingly difficult. Nate's controlling behavior intensified, and Alex found herself in a situation similar to the one I had experienced. I could recognize all the warning signs, but I wondered if she would see them too. It was distressing to watch someone I loved go through the same pain I had experienced, knowing the suffering that lay ahead. One day, I received a call from my family informing me that Alex was very upset and needed to talk to someone. Part of me wanted to help her immediately, but I was also afraid. Would I blame her for her problems? Would she be willing to listen to what I had to say? After thinking about it, I decided that I should contact her. I wanted her to know that she could count on me, even if it was only through a message. The reaction was worse than I anticipated. Instead of accepting my support, Alex took out her frustration on me, accusing me of not having warned her about Nate and calling me a bad friend for not having intervened before. Her words hurt me deeply. I had tried to protect her while looking after myself, and now she blamed me for her own decisions. I was torn between different emotions, the love I felt for her, the anger at her choices, the sadness at her situation. I felt trapped, and my attempts to explain were in vain, as she refused to listen. The rest of the family took his side, insisting that I should have done more. They seemed to forget that I had been a victim of Nate's toxic behavior for years. Family tensions increased. My parents pressured me to reconcile with Alex, not understanding that I also needed time to heal my own wounds. Meanwhile, Nate continued to manipulate Alex, who seemed to sink deeper and deeper into this toxic relationship. I felt helpless watching everything unfold. The family conflict escalated quickly. One day, I received a message from a family member telling me that Alex had confronted Nate about his feelings for me. He handled the situation with apparent calm, assuring her that he loved her, but hinting that he also had feelings for me. Alex was hurt and confused, just as I had feared. It was clear that Nate was controlling the situation, and Alex was simply part of his manipulative game. My frustration was immense. Why couldn't she see what he was doing to her? My family's opinion of me deteriorated over time. I started to hear comments like, "You should have protected your cousin." It felt unfair to be blamed for something that was out of my control. I started to wonder if I should have warned her more clearly about Nate. Should I have taken the opportunity at some point to reveal the whole truth to her? But would it have made any difference? She needed to reach her own conclusions. The family continues to blame me for not having warned her. However, I ask myself, shouldn't she have shown better judgment? Why did she decide to start a relationship with Nate knowing how complicated our history had been? She knew exactly how he had treated me. She was aware of everything. Despite this, she chose to be with him knowing every detail. Now I find myself questioning all my decisions. Did I do the right thing by not warning her directly about Nate? Should I have been more insistent in my intervention? Or was it better to let her learn through her own experience? I can't help feeling guilty thinking that maybe I could have spared her this suffering. So here I am, wondering if I am the wrong person in this situation for not having warned my cousin about the true nature of my ex. Update 1. Hi all. I wanted to share what's been happening lately. Things have gotten worse and I feel terrible. I appreciate all the support and advice I received in my previous post. Although some of it was difficult to take in, it's comforting to know that people understand how complex this situation is. Alex gave birth a few weeks ago. I would like to say that this event brought happiness to the family, but unfortunately it has only increased the tension and worry. While everyone is happy about the arrival of the baby, it is clear that the relationship between Alex and Nate is deteriorating. She hardly communicates, and when she does, her messages are brief and cautious. Since the birth of the baby, she seems more isolated than ever. I'm not sure if it's because of the demands of motherhood or if Nate has intensified his control over her. Her isolation worries the whole family, especially since she refuses to ask for help, even with a newborn. The situation worsened when we found out, through a close friend of the family, that Nate has started threatening Alex over insignificant issues. This news hit me hard. I knew Nate was controlling and manipulative. I had experienced it for years, but now he has crossed a very dangerous line with Alex. I feel sick, angry, and powerless. Part of me is horrified that the situation has reached this point. The other part feels guilty, wondering if I could have avoided this by being more direct in my warnings. I tried to stay out of her decisions, but now I can't help thinking that if I had intervened more, maybe she wouldn't be in this situation. The way Alex handles all this is heartbreaking. She continues to defend Nate, justifying his behavior by saying that he is stressed as a new father or that he is going through a difficult time. She seems trapped in a cage that Nate has carefully built, and it is painful to witness. Every time she defends him, she seems to sink deeper under his influence, accepting his excuses and blaming herself for his actions. It's distressing and brings back memories of when I blamed myself for everything, believing that if I changed something, things would get better. I don't know how to approach her or if she's willing to hear the truth. The family members, including me, have considered reporting Nate. We have discussed contacting the police or social services, especially now that there is a child involved. But every time we bring it up, Alex asks us to stop, insisting that intervening will only make things worse. She is afraid of what Nate might do if he finds out we contacted the authorities. She is clearly frightened and constantly asks us to stay out of it, claiming she can handle it herself. I feel trapped. I know she is in denial, but I don't want to pressure her into doing something she is not ready for. I am genuinely concerned about how Nate might react if we act against his wishes. I am not sure if taking action without his consent would help or just make the situation worse. This situation is reviving all the pain I experienced with Nate. Seeing Alex go through experiences similar to mine has awakened memories I thought I had overcome. I can't help feeling that Nate still has some control over my life, even after so much time apart. The suffering he is causing Alex haunts me constantly. No matter how hard I try to keep my distance, I can't escape the damage he continues to cause to the people I care about. I know this is exactly what he is looking for, to maintain his power over both of us. I am also frustrated by feeling so divided. I want to support Alex, but I don't know how to help her when she doesn't recognize what is happening. Every time I try to get closer, she rejects me or avoids the subject. It's exhausting. I want to show her that she has options and that she can find a way out, but every time I try to point her in that direction, she blocks it out. I understand her fear, but I feel powerless in the face of her denial. She seems to cling to the hope that he will change, and I know from experience how damaging that hope can be. It keeps you trapped in a cycle, thinking that if you wait a little longer, things will get better. But I know it rarely happens that way. As I deal with all this, my family seems to be turning against me. They insist that I should have warned Alex more emphatically or acted sooner. I feel like they think I can fix everything, but she witnessed everything he did to me and still decided to start a relationship with him. It's exhausting to be questioned or blamed for not doing enough. They seem to forget that I was also a victim of Nate's, and now they expect me to be a hero. I'm doing my best to support her, but I don't know how much more I can take. The more they push me, the more overwhelmed I feel. I don't think they understand how difficult it is for me to relive this pain. Now that there's a baby involved, I feel even more responsible. I'm not only worried about Alex, but also about his son. Nate is already showing his true nature, and I fear that one day the little one may witness or even experience his father's anger. I want to protect them both, but I'm not sure how to do it without overstepping my bounds or making the situation worse for her. It's a constant struggle between respecting her decisions and wanting to rescue her from this very difficult situation. I wish I could get closer to her, but every attempt seems to push her further into Nate's influence. I have spent countless sleepless nights thinking about all the what-ifs. What if I had done more to help her? What if I act against her wishes now? What if he becomes more dangerous and I didn't do enough to stop him? I am tormented by the fear of regretting every decision I make, no matter what I choose. It hurts me to see her believe she can change Nate. I want to help, but I fear losing her trust if I push her to face the truth. However, I can't just sit back and pretend that everything is fine when it clearly isn't. So here I am, feeling trapped and unsure. I'm trying to handle this delicately, but I'm afraid of making a mistake. If anyone has any advice on how to handle this situation, especially considering there's a baby involved, I'd really appreciate it. I don't want to look back and feel like I failed her or her child. Thank you for all the support and any guidance you can provide. Update 2. Hello everyone. I didn't expect to be writing so soon, but things have taken an unexpected turn since my last update. It has been extremely exhausting and overwhelming, but I hope sharing this will help me process everything. I want to thank everyone who has offered their support. Your words of encouragement mean the world to me. I recently found out that Nate, Alex's husband, has continued his abusive and manipulative behavior, even while she tries to keep her family together for the sake of their son. I always knew Nate was toxic, but when I found out he was cheating on Alex, I thought that would finally motivate her to leave him. It didn't. After finding out about the infidelity, she decided to stay, convinced that it was better for their son to grow up in a home with both parents, no matter how dysfunctional it was. I could see how much she was struggling with this decision, but I knew it caused her deep pain. She wanted to maintain the idea of a family and provide stability for her son, even if it meant sacrificing her own happiness. As difficult as it was to witness, I tried to respect her decision. It was her life and I didn't want to pressure her. I understood how difficult it could be to free herself from Nate's control. However, it soon became clear that staying with him was causing more harm than good. Nate didn't change. In fact, he got worse. He began to use Alex's decision to stay as a way of controlling her even more, mocking her for being too weak to leave and constantly reminding her that he could do whatever he wanted because she wouldn't abandon him. The situation took a terrible turn when Alex finally confessed Nate's threats to her son to me. They had a very serious argument, and I think Alex was starting to stand up for herself. But Nate wouldn't tolerate it. He threatened to take her son away if she didn't cooperate. Although he didn't say it directly, Alex understood the threat perfectly and was terrified. She realized that she was no longer just protecting herself, she was also protecting her son from a man who seemed willing to hurt her to maintain control. Alex called me that night, and I could tell right away that something was very wrong. She was crying and speaking in whispers. All she could tell me was that she needed help. I didn't ask any questions. I just told her to pack her things, take her son and wait. I went to pick them up and took them to my house without hesitation. It all seemed unreal, like a nightmare. I never wanted this for Alex. I never wanted her to experience anything similar to what I had gone through. When I finally saw her, she looked completely exhausted, as if she hadn't slept or eaten properly for days. Her son was unusually quiet and seemed to sense that something was very wrong. It broke my heart. Seeing her like that, I had always thought of her as my little sister, someone I wanted to protect. Seeing her struggling to stay strong for her son filled me with sadness and anger. While trying to remain calm, I knew the best thing I could do was to support her and help her through this difficult time. The first thing we did was sit down and make a plan. I didn't want her to have any reason to go back to him. So we went over every step necessary to ensure her safety and that of her son. We gathered all available evidence of Nate's abusive behavior. Alex had saved text messages and recordings that showed his manipulation and threats, elements that we knew would be crucial both for the police report and for a possible custody case. It was extremely difficult for her to relive all those moments, but she showed incredible strength, determined to do what was necessary to protect her son. That same night we filed a police report detailing every incident, every threat, every lie Nate had used to control her. It was painful for Alex to relive all this, but she knew she had to do it for herself and for her son. It was as if she was finally regaining control of her life. After filing the police report, we proceeded to the next step, filing for divorce. I helped her find a lawyer. I felt immensely happy and proud of her for standing up for herself. For so long, she had been trapped in the cage Nate had built. She was convinced that staying was her only option. Now she was fighting, and although she knew the road ahead would be difficult, she also knew that she was finally free, or at least on the road to freedom. However, even as she took these steps, our family continued to grow more tense. Some relatives supported us, but others couldn't understand why Alex was overreacting. They didn't understand how disturbing, toxic, abusive, and manipulative Nate was. They saw this as a family problem that could be solved if everyone made a little more of an effort. I was furious, but I concentrated on Alex. She needed all the support she could get, and I was determined to give it to her no matter what anyone else thought. In the days that followed, Alex and her son moved into my house, and I noticed a clear change in her attitude. She seemed lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted. However, there were still moments when she was scared and confused, showing that she was having difficulty processing everything that had happened. I suggested that she start therapy, and she agreed, aware that she would need time to recover from the trauma. Her son, who was not yet 1 year old, was also adjusting to the changes. As time went by, Alex's confidence began to grow. She started sharing her plans and dreams that she had put aside while she was with Nate. She wanted to create a loving, safe and supportive environment for her son, elements that Nate had taken away from her. She even mentioned the possibility of going back to studying and finding a stable job to support herself. It was inspiring to see her start to believe in her own strength. However, despite her progress, Alex still had difficult moments where the past affected her deeply. I can fully understand what she is going through. It will take time for her to fully recover. I can't blame her for this, as I too have not fully recovered from the damage Nate caused me, but at least she is now free from that situation. We still have several issues pending: legal proceedings, custody issues, and the long road to emotional recovery. But Alex is finally taking control of her life, and I couldn't be prouder of her for finding the courage to walk away. I know she has a long road ahead of her, and I will be with her every step of the way, helping her rebuild her life little by little. Update 3. Hello everyone. I'm back with some more news, and this time it's positive. The last few months have been like a roller coaster of emotions, but things are finally looking up. To cut a long story short, Nate has agreed to divorce Alex. It's surprising considering how much he tried to control her for so long. However, it seems that his decision is more to do with his own selfishness than any sense of what is right. Nate is already dating another girl, just 19 years old, who treats him like he's perfect. He seems to have completely forgotten about Alex and his newborn baby. For Alex, this is a great relief, and knowing that she won't have to deal with him anymore feels like an important victory. He has made it clear that he does not want to be involved with his son. It's sad, but not surprising. He told Alex that he has no interest in being a father or in having any relationship with the little boy. He will pay child support only because it is a legal obligation, not because he really cares. I can see how this affects Alex, although she was already expecting this distant attitude on his part. She understands that raising her son alone will be a challenge, knowing that Nate does not want to be part of his life. However, this separation could actually be a positive thing. Without Nate present, Alex can create a healthy and loving family environment for her son, free from his negative influence. Although financial support helps, she is determined to support her son on her own, knowing that he will be her main source of stability. Despite the obstacles, Alex is making admirable progress. She has taken important steps towards regaining control of her life and her future, growing stronger every day. Her confidence is returning and she is rediscovering the goals and passions she had abandoned. One of these goals is to obtain a university degree, something she is now actively pursuing. She has been researching different programs and contacting universities. I am inspired to see her make her own decisions and forge her own path. She is building a life where she and her son can thrive away from the negativity and control that Nate represented. With every plan she makes, she becomes more confident that she can succeed. And I truly believe she will. I feel so proud of her and grateful that I have been able to support her, and I will continue to help her with her son. Right now we're focusing on living day to day, with her prioritizing her son's well-being and his future. It's challenging, but she's one of the strongest people I know. Being 24 years old, taking care of a newborn and pursuing a college degree must be one of the most difficult tasks. But she's handling it admirably. I have no doubt that she will build the life she deserves. Update 4. Hi everyone, I have an unexpected update to share, especially because you have been so understanding throughout this process. I thought you might like to hear the latest news, which has been both surprising and, honestly, a relief. I received a call from a friend with shocking news: Nate has been arrested. I couldn't believe it. It turns out that other women he dated have also filed complaints against him. It seems that his past finally caught up with him, and this time he couldn't manipulate the situation to his advantage. This is a great relief because he has caused a lot of damage, not only to me or Alex, but to many other people. I have been informed that Nate has been sentenced to several years. I'm not sure of the exact length of time, but honestly that's not the most important thing right now. What matters is that he is definitely out of our lives. I can finally breathe easy knowing that he can't hurt or manipulate anyone else. It's like a huge weight has been lifted, and I hope this also brings peace to the other women he affected. They deserve it as much as we do. As for the good news, Alex is doing extraordinarily well. After everything she has faced, it is wonderful to see her thrive. She was accepted at an excellent university and is studying what she has always wanted. It reassures me to know that she is focused on her future and not allowing the past to hold her back. She has come a long way and I am really proud of her. Not only is she excelling in her studies, but she has also started dating someone truly special. She treats him with the respect and kindness he deserves after everything he went through with Nate. And her little one is growing up wonderfully. It's beautiful to see him developing healthily and happily. Alex is an incredibly dedicated and loving mother, and it clearly shows. They are living with me, and witnessing the growth of her son is one of the most rewarding experiences. I wanted to share this news with you all because your support has been fundamental during this time. Thank you all for being there, for your kind words, and for your constant support. It has meant a lot to me and has had a very positive impact on our lives.